Thank you again, Eagle Boy Drum Group. Thank you for honoring us with that song. If I can ask Elder Victor Pelche from the Fort William First Nation to do an opening prayer, please.
Good morning, everyone. And my name is Victor Pelche, born and raised on the Fort William First Nations. I'm married. We had 6 children. We lost one boy there a year and a half ago. And today, I'm involved with our parish at home, St. Anne's Parish. After I retired and unable to do any more work, I got involved there quite a bit, and I went for a training course with the diocese at Thunder Bay, and I got ordained a deacon. This is going on 24 years, so I just thank our Creator for letting things happen to me for this reason. So I'm going to do a smudging ceremony, purification with the sage and tobacco. And as I smudge myself, I smudge my mind so that we'll be open to everyone, people around us. We smudge our eyes only to see good things in life, see good things that will happen in the next 3 days here. We smudge our ears also, so that we'll be able to listen to what has to be done, listen to other people speak, and our mouth and tongue, lips, only to say good things to one another and not to hurt. And most of all, we just ask our Creator to be with us, because everything we do comes from the bottom of our heart. So if you'd like to stand for our prayer, and I'd just like to bless myself, and those who feel comfortable may also do it. And I'll do this in our native language. Ojini Kasawen, Wiasmin, Gai Wiasmin, Gai Winashamanatomi Gay. Nosanan Gish Gong Ibien. Api Gish Kichawawin Daming. Kidich Kasawen. Apikish vidagawish kamak kirogama wiwen. And damen apish wabek kibish go gish gong mi go gai king. Mi chishishanam nam gom gishagak mi tawijinam yine wing and also gishagak. Boni gita wishanam gai gai win. Ishi boni gita wa gai shinaganshi. Yego gai chuish gagan gabi bining mida vishanam das minik me gain. I'll do the smudging, and I'll do the drum first, and then I'll just smudge over the people and the drummers also.
Thank you very much, Elder Pelche. Next, we'd like to, putting an event like this on takes a lot of people. This event particularly is put on by a working group of tribal council representatives. It's probably the largest gathering, our understanding from other people we've talked to, probably the largest cooperative effort of First Nation tribal councils probably in the country working on the housing issue. So we're quite proud of the group that puts this on, and they always stay behind the scenes, and they're very quiet and they don't like to talk too much, but today we're going to have them come up and say a few words on behalf of their communities and help explain some of the conference particulars to you. So to start off, I'd like to introduce Chris Price and Mark McPherson. They'll identify which tribal council they're with when they come up.
We'll wait till everybody's up here. Good morning, everyone. We'd very much like to thank you for coming to Thunder Bay, to the traditional territory of Fort William First Nation, and to the Valhalla Inn, and to the 14th Annual First Nations Northern Housing Conference. We're all very fortunate to be here in the same room, First Nation housing professionals, builders, vendors, contractors, and government representatives, all gathered together to learn from one another. For many of us, the Housing Conference is the only real opportunity for networking and learning from each other housing experts, and those of you who have attended here before are well aware of how important this event is to the housing programs in each of our communities. I'd just like to say, if it weren't for the gracious support of our funders and sponsors, we wouldn't have the opportunity to be together today and for the next 3 days. The conference theme this year is Old Lessons, New Stories, and you'll find that this is the theme that has been woven to every aspect of the conference. When selecting and determining the content to be presented to delegates this year, this theme was the guide. In First Nations, respecting tradition is integral to a community as new building techniques, and we have always tried to bring those contexts together. We believe a community's well-being is directly related to its housing program, and we strive to provide information you all need to perform your duties as housing professionals, and as such, further strengthen your homes and your communities.
Good day. Mark McPherson from Pataguzing Neajing Advisory Services in Fort Francis. Some of the topics that we will be discussed this year include crawl spaces, advanced framing, building science, the true cost of housing, radon exposure guideline, housing water and wastewater connections, converting housing tenure, chemical awareness, the building science of air, is your house drowning, and much, much more. This conference has developed and grown over the last 14 years to become the largest First Nation housing event in Canada. This year, we welcome delegates and trade shows exhibitors from Northern and Southern Ontario, Manitoba, Quebec, and Saskatchewan. Thank you all for making the journey to join us here in Thunder Bay. We know that you'll be able to affect positive change in your own communities with the knowledge you will gain in the next few days. I'd like to introduce the next speakers, Richard Waite from Chibougamau First Nation Council and Grace Martineau from Ontario First Nation Technical Service Corporation.
Over the next few days, you'll meet and learn from some of the most respected experts in the housing industry. And we would like to take this time to thank all of the speakers and presenters for preparing the learning sessions for us this week. The knowledge you'll share with us will truly make a difference in many communities. We mentioned INAC earlier, but we must not forget our other generous funders and sponsors. Without their help, we would not be able to deliver such an appealing event.
We would like to thank our funders, Indigenous and Northern Affairs Canada, Health Canada, Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, and a special thank you to our sponsors, First Nations Market Housing Fund, Hydro One, North Star Air, Aussie First Nations Professional Services, and a thank you to our new sponsor, Sulikout Home Hardware Building Center, for coming on board this year to sponsor the Buildings Challenge event that will take place tomorrow. And of course, thank you to Yonix for hosting the Builders Challenge and for facilitating support from tool sponsors, including DeWalt, Stanley, and Dow Building Solutions. I'd like to introduce to you our next speakers, Severio Rizzo of Matawa First Nations Management and Jonathan Salo, Windigo First Nations Council.
Thank you, Grace. This year, like last, we are using a Dotmocracy system at the conference, and we ask you all to participate as often as you can. Dotmocracy is the chance to voice your opinion and make sure you are heard. Throughout the conference, you will find Dotmocracy boards with questions on them, and under each question, you will find a list of possible answers. Simply select the answer you most agree with and place a dot. or place one of the dot stickers provided beside it. By using Dotmocracy, we can ensure that everyone's opinion is recognized. We will also be able to determine which of the answers is truly the most popular based on the opinions of dozens of housing professionals in attendance here this week. Be sure to participate and get your dots up on the boards. You can stay up to date on housing-related news during the conference and throughout the year by liking and following the First Nations Northern Housing Conference on social media. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Over the next few days, we will be updating these sites with photos and happenings of the conference. Share your photos with us by using the hashtag FNNHC. By learning and sharing knowledge with each other, we can create the greatest opportunity for positive change for us all. Use these social media pages to learn and to offer your own knowledge to the group throughout the year. Links directly to the Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter pages can be found on the conference website at www.northernhousingconference.com, or alternatively, just search for First Nations Northern Housing Conference. I'd like to hand it over to Severio.
Thank you. While speaking with experts, it's always very useful and informative. Sometimes you just need to get your hands dirty. Tomorrow we are looking forward to the Builders Challenge. Those of you who have attended in the past are familiar with this area of the conference and how much fun and informative it is. Once again, hosted by radio and TV personality Jan Eeks, this year's participants will tackle the challenge of advanced framing. If you would like to sign up to participate in these, there will be sign-up sheets with me tomorrow in the ballroom and trade show area. Everyone who enters gets a hard hat, and the most successful challengers will win some great prizes. Be sure to come out and see the demonstrations and then cheer on your favorites. The Builders Challenge will be happening throughout the day, as will the trade show. Once again, there will be dozens of vendors and suppliers here to meet with you. Be sure to visit each booth to get the full experience. There is a passport to prizes this year, so as you visit each display, make sure they stamp your card. Full cards can be entered into a draw for some incredible prizes, which will take place on Thursday. Tomorrow night, we will recognize achievements of Garden River First Nation in their housing program at the awards banquet. Come and congratulate these innovators on their success. This year, the entire conference is being broadcast live via webcast. Be sure to contact anyone in your home community that may want to join in and watch the event live. After the conference, the videos will be available on demand on the conference website, so you can visit and revisit the parts of the conference you found to be most valuable. I'll introduce the next speakers, Joey Jacobs from North Shore Tribal Council and Chris again from Mushkegowuk Tribal Council.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris. Throughout the event, the conference coordinators from the Adventure Group will staff a conference services office located in the Odin Room. Should you need any assistance or have any questions, please feel free to visit any of the event staff. When you registered, you received a package that included a conference handbook. The conference agenda is in the handbook. It is your guide to all the activities and workshops happening throughout the event. Also in the registration package, you also should have received meal tickets. If you have not registered or did not receive these tickets or a handbook, please visit the conference services office in the Odin Room.
Breakfast is served each morning in Timber's restaurant. Please note that each meal ticket is dated and specifies the meal for which it is intended. Simply present the ticket at each meal to the staff or attendant present. Meal tickets are not replaceable, so please do not lose your tickets. If you have any conference-related questions, look to your handbook for the answers, or check in with any of the working group or the conference coordinators from the Adventure Group. This is a jam-packed event. We encourage you to listen, learn, ask questions, speak up, and network with as many people as you can. This event is by First Nations and for First Nations, and its purpose is to empower communities. Please participate to your full ability. Take this information and use it in your professional capacities. takes the opportunity to discover how Northern First Nation housing professionals and communities are building upon the foundational lessons of the past and creating new stories. Enjoy the conference.
Let's hear it for the conference committee one more time. They've done a lot of work to prepare for today. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ian Banning, Director of Lands and Property Management for Fort William First Nations, to welcome us to the conference.
Good morning, one and all. As announced, my name is Ian Bannon. I am the Director of Lands and Properties with Fort William First Nation. I'm here under the regrets of our Chief Peter Collins, who regretfully is currently in Arizona, teeing off as we speak. So regretfully, he is unable to attend here. As well, our council members were all quite busy, and so therefore I was asked to be here on behalf of Fort William First Nation to give the opening remarks. I first would like to acknowledge the drum group, the Eagle Boy Drum Group. Thank you very much for that opening song. Our elder, Victor Pelche, for your opening prayer. I'd like to acknowledge the working committee for their opening remarks. Thank you very much. And welcome, of course, our dignitaries that are here from the surrounding districts. If we look at our theme that has been never, because one day the theme that we're working with, the new story, new always being introduced to us in the construction field of building our homes, plumbing our homes, wiring our homes. These are new techniques that are being introduced to us every day. It's conferences like this that allow us to share these new initiatives, new techniques with each other. And I congratulate the working group on putting together what I know will be a successful conference in achieving that. Take the opportunity to share your disappointments as well as your achievements, because you will learn from both, believe me. On behalf of our Chief, Peter Collins, who again is in Arizona, teeing off, our counselors, and of course, our membership of Fort William First Nation, we welcome you to this traditional territory that we proudly share with you. Ahaw miigwech.
Thank you, Ian. To join us today, other dignitaries have joined us today, and I'm very proud to announce that the Honorable Patty Haiju, Member of Parliament, Thunder Bay Superior North, is also here and will say a few words.
Well, good morning. I am so excited to be here, and I want to start by thanking the Fort William First Nation for welcoming me on their traditional territory, and to also thank the elders and the drum groups. And I'm just so happy to be home. It's just so nice to look out and see all these faces of people that work on housing. Because, as you may or may not know, being elected for the first time as a federal MP, I worked at a shelter. I worked at Shelter House, and in fact spent many years advocating for housing, both housing in First Nations communities, but also in urban settings, because what know from a health perspective, from a social functioning perspective, is that people can't live good lives unless they have a stable house as a home base. And you know, because or your heart is heavy, or you know something bad has happened, or you need to connect, you go home. And for me, it was such a powerful reminder, first of all, about the privilege that I had a home to go to because I wasn't feeling well, but also just how much of a universal need and right that is as human beings. So I'm just so grateful and thankful that all of you are here meeting today to talk about how we can actually provide that home for people that need it the most. And I'm also really proud of our government, because I ran for the Liberals. You know, many people said to me when I chose to run for the Liberals, why the Liberals? You know, why not the NDP? And I ran for the Liberals because I saw a progressive platform that was coming forward that was based on really those essential needs that every community has, things like running water and affordable housing and access to education. And for me, that really resonated, and I'm extremely proud that the old lesson of needing those foundations really does have a new story with a federal partner that's committed to making that happen. I think you are going to have a very busy few years. We've made a historic commitment to an investment in infrastructure, $125 billion over the next year, $20 billion over the next 2 years. I think you are all going to be extremely, extremely busy, and I think our biggest challenge is going to be how do we get that money out of the door fast enough, and that's been a challenge in the past. So we are looking at how we can break down barriers for communities to access those funds in ways that we can spend it immediately. And part of the reason why we want to spend the money, well, there's 3 reasons really. One is that we want to build the things that communities need to thrive. We know now that social policy, good social policy, is actually good fiscal policy. Our economy can't actually return to a thriving state unless everybody has an opportunity to succeed and unless we actually have people doing work in their communities. But the third reason is that we need to recommit to the foundations for our generations to come. For the children, our children and their children, they need the infrastructure that our grandfathers and great-grandfathers had, and mothers had the foresight to fight for. So I just want to thank you all. I want to tell you that you have an ally. You have an ally in me personally, but you also have an ally in our federal government. I'm extremely excited about the work we're going to accomplish together. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Patty. We have a full house of dignitaries today. The next person I'd like to introduce is the Honourable Don Resnick, Member of Parliament for Thunder Bay Rainy River. Don?
Well, I know how everyone likes to hear about our from politicians, so I'll keep my my remarks short. I'd first like to acknowledge the elders, the drum group, and the fact that we're on the Fort William First Nation traditional territory, the traditional territory of the Robson Superior Treaty. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge all the members here from Treaty 3. I'm the first member of Parliament from Treaty 3, so. So good morning. It's an honor to attend the 14th Annual Northern Housing Conference. Thank you to the committee for inviting me. The theme of this year's conference, Old Lessons, New Stories, holds special meaning for my role as I sit in the House of Commons with a brand new government. A government that is determined to correct the mistakes of the past in working with Indigenous communities. As Ontario's only First Nation member of Parliament, I'm proud to say you will no longer see a top-down approach to First Nation infrastructure that occurred under past governments. Our process will include consultation with Indigenous people and professionals that service our community. Events like these are important because they encourage the collaboration and innovation that will be vital as we begin this new consultation process. I know there are many infrastructure problems facing Indigenous communities and that housing plays a key role in the well-being of all people. As my fellow members of Parliament and I move forward to address these issues, I'm happy to say our approach will be inclusive of the many people that deal with these issues in our communities. Your work will lay the foundation for new stories of successful, sustainable, and healthy communities. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
From the City of Thunder Bay, I'd like to introduce Councillor Frank Poulia, City of Thunder Bay representative.
Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge the drum, Elder Victor Peltier, and Minister Patty Haidu, and MP Don Rasnak, and Ian Bennon from Fort William First Nations. Also the event organizers, and all of you, the participants to this conference. Bonjour and good morning. On behalf of my colleagues on City Council and the citizens of Thunder Bay, I would like to welcome you to our city as you come together to discuss a very important topic, the building of homes for communities. I would like to begin by acknowledging that our city resides in the Robinson Superior Treaty and has been built on the traditional lands of the Ojibwe people of Fort William First Nation. I would also like to recognize the contributions made to our community by the Métis people. Housing remains a difficult issue for First Nation communities all across the country. In its annual report for the 2012-13, the Assembly of First Nations reported that there is an estimated backlog of 130,000 units across the country. As well, they noted that 44% of existing units require major repairs, with still another 18% requiring outright replacement. Additionally, some First Nations, including those right here in our territory, have been plagued by flooding. Thunder Bay has hosted a number of First Nation flood evacuees over the last few years, so we are no strangers to hearing these concerns. These housing units issues are complex and require the coming together of minds to share ideas, best practices, expertise, and even mentorship, training, and workshops to grow the knowledge on how to address these issues. That being said, the Northern First Nation Housing Conference in the Industry event for both networking and learning. It is where community leaders and housing professionals come together to meet quality suppliers, attend leading-edge workshops, and collaborate with the fellow professionals in other First Nation communities. This event is an important part of the housing industry in Northern First Nation communities. But more than anything, this coming together of the best and brightest of the Northern housing industry to share its knowledge is really about building good, solid homes for community members, so that community members can, in turn, live in a healthy, comfortable space and focus their energies where they ought to, on their families. This event's main goal has always been to help build capacity amongst First Nation communities through educating both the administrative and technical delegates who attend. Housing leaders utilize the conference to learn the latest technology and solutions, as well as network with suppliers and other First Nation communities. Building capacity, however, goes beyond education and sharing best practices, but touches on the heart of the associated infrastructure required, like subdivision roads, hydro, water, and wastewater systems to service these new homes. The theme for this year's First Nations Northern Housing Conference is All Lessons, New Stories. We've been told this year's conference is an opportunity to address new information on topics previously covered in past conferences, to remind delegates of some of the constant lessons on housing that continue to be important, and update delegates on new legislation, practices, and policies that help First Nation housing professionals to do their job better every day. A lot has been achieved, and many lessons have been learned through this conference over the last 14 years. This year's event is an opportunity to share these lessons on what works best, build on these strengths, while continuing to identify areas for improvement. When we hear words like best practices and capacity building, let us also be mindful that at the core of it all, there are people who will build and deliver on these services, and the need for sustainable employment to training programs and workforce development will continue to be part and parcel of housing for First Nation communities. As you provide valuable and current information during this conference to the housing professionals who need it, you will continue to inspire attendees to create new stories of their own and build upon these foundational lessons of the past. In conclusion, I see you have a very busy agenda over the next few days, but if you have time in the evenings, please enjoy some of the sights and experiences our great city has to offer. On behalf of City Council and the citizens of Thunder Bay, I welcome you to our city and wish you a great and fruitful gathering. Miigwech.
If I could just take a moment to acknowledge the dignitaries once again and say that Don mentioned that, I know how much people want to listen to politicians, but I want to say to you that I think everybody in this room really appreciates the fact that you have attended today. And they do have a lot of information to share, and they want you to know what they're doing as professionals, housing professionals in their communities. This event has been going on for 14 years. It has been recognized nationally. People have come from other provinces to learn what the people here have to offer. And it just means a lot to everybody that you attended today. And thank you. If you have time to take in a session or be back over the next 3 days, I know your busy schedules, but feel free to come anytime during the next 3 days and share some time with some of the people that are here. Thank you again for your coming today and sharing those words with us. Great research, Frank. You did a lot of work there. Thank you very much. We talked earlier about funders and how important they are to helping these events happen. I know INAC is one of our major funders. I don't think they have a representative here, unless I'm wrong, unless somebody has showed up in the last little while. But we should acknowledge them. Thank you to INAC for their funding and the component that they've offered to this event. If we could just give them a quick round of applause. And I would like to introduce, INAC's been with us for 14 years. The other organization that's been with us for 14 years is CMHC, and we have a representative, Louisa Atkinson, who is the Director of First Nations Housing from CMHC's national office, and she's going to share a few words with us.
It's kind of difficult to follow that lineup. A lot of good speakers so far. So good morning, elders, councillors, and community members. Thank you for welcoming me onto your traditional territory of Fort Williams First Nation. And thank you to all our distinguished delegates and speakers for choosing to join us over the next 3 days and work together and provide better quality and safer housing for First Nation communities in Northern Ontario. On behalf of CMHC, I'm very pleased to help open the 14th First Nations Northern Housing Conference. This event brings the right people together to learn about new technology, hear about challenges, ideas, and solutions for housing in the North, and to network and partner with housing professionals and First Nations community members. The theme of the conference, which is behind me, is I find really interesting because old ideas, old learnings are new lessons for me and for many who are joining in the housing of First Nation communities. So everything that we share together as a group, as a team, as participants and partners, helps each one of us learn different things from one another. Some of you may remember that last year was my very first time attending the First Nation Northern Housing Conference. And in 1 year, I can't believe how much I have learned about what every single one of you do on a regular basis to improve the outcomes of housing for First Nation communities. Last year, I remember, and I was impressed by the caliber of speakers, the enthusiasm of the delegates, and the intense spirit of collaboration. And I think it was something that I also noted in Elder Victor's prayers this morning, that if we work together with open hearts and open minds, it will be amazing the things that we can accomplish to improve housing outcomes for First Nation communities. CMHC is Canada's national housing agency. Our programs and activities touch almost all aspects of housing, but our mission is really simple. We help Canadians meet their housing needs. We work in partnership with First Nation communities, and we help you meet your housing goals and improve housing outcomes. We engage each one of your First Nation communities in a different way to meet the needs of your unique community. We also know that the needs in the North, including Northern Ontario, are pressing and unique. The new minister responsible for CMHC, Minister Duclos, is also very, very committed to helping First Nation communities and recognizes the substantial changes faced by remote communities. To help address some of these needs, CMHC invests in housing programs and capacity development and skills development initiatives. We provide a range of tools, resources to help First Nations people acquire the skills, the knowledge to design, build, manage, and maintain housing in their communities. These are just a few ways in which our partnership strengthens our communities as a whole. We look forward to learning from you and continuing to build partnerships and work collaboratively to deliver housing outcomes for First Nation communities. I want to take a few minutes just to remind everybody that we have a couple of really good sessions. So please join us today for Crawl Spaces with Keith Miracle and Gail Lawler. And on Thursday, we have the True Cost of Housing and Converting Housing Tenures with Roxanne Harper. Please join them for their great sessions. CMHC's Hospitality Suite is today from 4:30 to 6:30. Join our staff that is ready to engage in conversation and talk to you about your unique needs and answer any questions that you may have. Have a great conference, have a great 3 days, and miigwech.
Thank you very much, Louisa. On a technical note before we get started, some of you have been looking for the live streaming that is supposed to be happening. There's having a technical issue with that live streaming. They hope to get it running within the next hour. We will announce it when that does get going, for those of you who have people that are tuning in for that. At this time, I'd just like to say thank you, everybody, for attending again. We're going to do we have an annual tradition here of taking a picture of all the delegates who come to the event and making plaques and sharing it with others that come to it. So just before we go for coffee, I'm going to ask everybody to come up to the front of the room, and we're going to gather and take a picture. Hopefully we'll do that within 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, but that's all it should take. And then we'll break for coffee and we'll head out to the events. So on behalf of the working group, I would like to thank you all for coming again, and we hope you enjoy the conference, learn lots, bring it back to your communities, and let's get at it. Thanks.